Yeah, so my name's Darren Hickling. I own and operate Hickling's Fish Farm with my parents, Vincent and Linda, and my nephew Chris. Uh, we started Hickling's Fish Farm in 1986 after my parents got out of dairy farming. So they were looking for something to do, and we had a pond already, and they had the idea to start raising trout to stock the pond and then have people to come and pay to fish. So that was kind of the seed of the idea. Dad actually started raising a few trout in the basement of their house, and then that was kind of the start of the whole thing. The reason it was started here was basically this was part of our farm. This land's been in our family since the late 1800s. So it wasn't necessarily the best place to start a fish farm, but it's what we had. So and we've just kind of changed. We ended up getting out of actually raising trout and going into raising bass and research system because we don't have the water necessarily to raise trout. So that's kind of how things started. So, and that was 30 plus years ago. It's going pretty well. We keep expanding, and every time we expand, we think we've expanded enough, and as soon as we expand, we realize we still need to expand more. So, but we've always tried to expand slowly to kind of. The goal when we built this building was to make it as easy and trouble-free as possible. Put our first batch of fish in here in late summer of 2020. So we put largemouth bass. They were about 2.5 inches. When we put them in here, they were around, I want to say about 150 to the pound. Fish to the pound. And we brought 60,000 in here in late summer. We sold about 5,000 or so for stocking the end of the year. So we started with about 55,000 in here. 10 tanks in here. Each one is about 20 foot. They hold about 9,000 gallons each. We emptied one this morning. Actually, we're sorting fish today. We're sorting out a bunch of 6 to 8 inch bass that are going to another dealer out in Indiana tomorrow. So he's coming to pick them up. Grader, a fish grader that we built, so we can adjust the size.
So what are you going for now for this size?
We're grading out, like, they're anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5 inches, basically.
Okay.
They average about 7 inches. Then we take the bigger ones off the top. We're just grading, grading them out because they actually run anywhere from 6 to 9.5 inches in these tanks.
Oh, wow.
The smaller ones, the larger ones, they're running anywhere from 8 to 10 inches in
they
here.
Grow pretty fast in the tank.
Yeah. We've the best growth that we've ever had through the winter from the fingerlings that we've started. In fact, we were just talking about this. The biggest that we've ever put out in ponds come spring out of the buildings have been 9 fish per pound. Right now, the smallest ones, the ones that we're grading off the bottom of the smallest fish are 5.7 fish per pound. So just to give you an idea.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Yeah, and we're able to grow more of them. So all the tanks drain into this box, and then from here they run through the drum filter. Except for we have let's see, two tanks on the end that run into us. We added another small drum filter because this one wasn't quite keeping up.
Got it.
So we added another small one. So there's two tanks on their own drum filter.
And where do you get your water from?
This is all well water.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know how much you pump up on average a day or use?
We're probably adding between 5 and 10 gallons a minute.
Okay.
So.
So it goes to this and this keeps track and then.
Yep. And then this is the clean water coming out. And then that's the media and the biofilter.
Okay.
So that's just there for bacteria to grow on, which takes all your, gets rid of your ammonia and your nitrates.
Got it. And then it just gets pumped into the tank.
Yep. And from there, yeah, you can come down here. From here it goes into the sump and then gets pumped back into the tank. Water test.
Okay, what are you testing?
Pretty much every day. Mostly ammonia and nitrates. Ammonia, with this system, ammonia really isn't a problem. It's the nitrates. Make sure the nitrates aren't building up.
Do each of the tanks have their own camera?
I got one camera on two tanks.
Okay.
Yep. So there's these two here. So I can see, and then there's another camera down there where I can see the drum filter. I can see the drum filter in these tanks here. So when we built this building, we put in a liquid oxygen tank. It's a 1,500 gallon, and that actually feeds this building and two more buildings up top of the hill.
Oh wow.
So
More buildings.
yeah, we have 3 buildings about this size. Simple. It's liquid oxygen. This is an evaporator, so it goes from liquid to gas in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like a big radiator, and then from there, and then the pressure is all controlled here as to the pressure we want going into the buildings, and then basically we have 3 lines. That we have 2 that go up the hill to those 2 buildings, and then 1 that comes in here. Okay. And the nice thing about this is if the power goes out, it doesn't matter because this is all. There's no power needed for this to supply oxygen.
Okay.
So it's another backup, which is a huge peace of mind. We also, because we keep the bass at higher temperatures, it's harder to keep your dissolved oxygen levels up in the water.
Got it.
So, we keep them at 65, 70 degrees, and it's hard to keep your DO levels up using just mechanical aeration. So this allows us to get the DO levels up higher, and it allows us to, raise more fish per gallon of water. So that building there we built in 2001.
Okay.
Actually, and then we built this building in 2012, over the winter of 2012.
Okay.
But actually, maybe I'll show you this building first. Okay. Actually, that'll be a little bit. So this building was originally 60 foot wide, which is about to where that first bag is right there.
Okay.
And it looks similar to that building down there. It had all round tanks in it, harvester tanks.
Okay.
And we were raising fish, but we were trying to raise our big fish in those tanks.
Yeah.
And we realized in those round tanks they weren't getting they'd only get to, we could get them up to about 3/4 of a pound or so.
Okay.
And they'd kind of plateau.
Okay.
In the round tanks. So we put a lean-to off that side of the building. We had an idea, fish grow to the size in their environment.
Yep.
So we're like, well, let's put a lean-to off and put a big raceway down there and see what happens. So we did that. That was in 2004.
Okay.
We did that, and we got better growth on those fish.
Okay. Then in the round.
Well, they were out in the pond, and then they've been in here for the winter. So we've gotten more growth on them over the winter as well in here. So, but these are what we call meat-sized fish. So they have to be 1.25 pounds or better.
Okay.
To go for meat.
Choose these fish.
Largemouth?
Yeah.
Well, we were raising. We built a smaller facility down there to raise them indoors in the winter for stocking. But all of a sudden we started getting a lot of calls for from Asian fish markets in the cities, wondering if we had large ones.
Yeah.
Once they get up big enough to go for meat size, they're gone. We can never have we.
But you have a whole market, like
Yes,
they're always.
they're gone.
Okay.
Yeah. We can't raise enough.
Oh wow. Okay.
For the meat market, yeah. No, it's all Asian fish markets.
Okay.
They all go to Asian fish markets, and we sell to a distributor,
Okay.
and then he supplies the fish markets.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Feeding skretting for ever, 20 or 30 years. We've been feeding some Cargill this year. Their Triton feed. Been trying that. We had some issue with soybean-induced enteritis,
Oh. Okay.
which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's
I'm half familiar with it.
yes, it's basically inflammation of the intestines. So it's called soybean-induced because they're using too much soybean as a protein base. So these are the filters that we used to build, and the water just feeds through them gravity. There's a screen here, just a coarse screen that catches the coarse stuff, and then there's brushes that catches the fine stuff.
Okay.
And then it goes into there, and then that's just full of stone, and the water goes through. And that stone basically is the same thing as the barrels I showed you before.
Yep.
For the bacteria. And then it comes back through here and gets pumped back into the system.
Okay.
So then we built this building,
Okay.
and we got it a little bit better. We built these right off the bat. Gave ourselves a little bit more room. So, but the steel we just put on a couple, 3 years ago.
Okay.
So it's basically similar to that building over there, just a little bit. But when we built this, we actually had the same filter system as we did over there, but we bought a couple used drum filters, so now we have everything going through a drum filter in here.
Okay.
So the filtering system is basically the same, except we have it all going through a drum filter and then into the biofilters. We use just collection tanks, and then we have them all plumbed together to run through the drum filter. And then that just splits off and goes into the 2 biofilters and then gets pumped back in. But we had that quit one time, so we were able to just throw all the filters in these and just kind of bypass that kind of as an emergency.
Okay.
So. But,
Well, this is quite the engineering.
yeah.
Going on here.
Yeah, again, it's red. This is red. We built this building and we said, there, now we got it right. And again, next thing you know, we're changing stuff. So,
As it happens.
yeah, yeah. We keep expanding, and every time we expand, we think we've expanded enough, and as soon as we expand, we realize we still need to expand more. So, but we've always tried to expand slowly to kind of keep it, our costs down and not expand more than what we can afford to bite off at any one time. So here was the first building that we actually built to start raising bass indoors.
Okay.
And that was back This building we've kind of retrofitted. We close this up and we'll actually heat this a little bit in the winter.
Okay.
And we'll raise fish in here too, bass. But like this time of year, this is where we do we bag up all the fish and everything.
Okay, so this is when people come.
Yeah.
Da da da. Okay.
Yep. They come in here and all these tanks. These are basically just holding tanks.
Okay. Is this where they come to get their fish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. These are grass carp here.
Okay.
Just holding them.
For the stocking, are they doing? Is there a lot of like private? Just they want bass in their pond?
Private ponds. Like we do a lot of like rod and gun clubs, fish and game clubs.
Okay.
A lot of lake associations.
Okay.
We do a lot of lake associations. We supply fish for soil and water conservation districts for their fish sales.
Okay.
We do several of those, and then we wholesale to other farms. But it's mostly private.
Okay.
We do. Yep, that's a biofilter. And that's the filter that I showed you. Same idea. The water goes through there. We don't use it as much anymore. We use the drum filter now. So,
Okay.
but yeah, we built this when we built this building back in the mid-90s. We put this biofilter in to start. That's when we first started the process of raising bass indoors. These tanks out here is where we hold trout. And then we just put this pavilion up about 4 years ago to kind of keep the sun off everything. We redid these. We had 4 tanks here. We tore them all out and put brand new tanks in here. Again, we use the Harvestor tanks. So, yep. Here, there's another one down there, and then there's a couple more small ones down below there, and then we have a couple other spots on our property, a handful in other spots where we have, good springs and water.
Nice.
So.
Are these uncirculated?
Yeah, you can see we usually have aerators and stuff going in the ponds, but we don't right now because we haven't got any fish in there yet. So, we get duckweed and algae on the pond, so that's maintenance wise during the summer. We keep them cleaned off, and automatic feeder there.
Yep.
We set those to go off, 6-8 times a day, whatever.
Okay. What are the lines for?
It's on a pulley system, so we can pull the feeder in and fill it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yep. And we'll have see, there's one on that pond over there. It'll be the feeders over there, but we'll have it out in the center when there's fish in there.
Got it.
And then we'll have aeration, aerators out there aerating also. So, advice for someone getting into fish farming. Patience. You need a lot of patience. There's a steep learning curve. You're definitely probably going to kill some fish. But it's good to have a good background in several areas, not just in aquaculture and fish health. It's good to have a background in construction, engineering, hydraulics. I actually went to school for civil engineering. Any actual aquaculture experience I have has come from the farms, which since I was about 11 years old. Definitely ask for help. We get a lot of help from Cornell, the fish lab at Cornell, Kennebec Bioscience. We use them quite a bit too. If there's a problem, don't be afraid to find out. Go out and find out what their issue is, because it usually ends up getting worse. If you don't get right on it and try to figure out what it is.